It was meant to be a calm evening, just a simple dinner at our favorite restaurant surrounded by close friends, laughter, and familiar warmth. My husband, Daniel, had only recently returned from a long business trip, and I wanted to use the night to close the quiet distance that had formed between us. I imagined an evening filled with reconnection and soft glances. What I never expected was that Ryan, my secret lover, would show up uninvited and unpredictable. From the second he entered the room, something in his presence fell off. The charm that once drew me to him now carried a dangerous edge. His gaze never left me, tracking every movement, every smile I shared with Daniel. I tried to steady my breathing, to act like the loving wife and attentive guest, but my hands trembled as I lifted my wine glass. I just wanted the night to pass without disaster. Daniel, as always, was effortlessly charming. He spoke about his travels, made our friends laugh, and filled the room with warmth. I forced myself to focus on him, to pretend everything was fine. But from the corner of my eye, I could see Ryan sitting rigidly, his jaw clenched, fury flickering in his eyes every time Daniel touched my hand. The tension in the air thickened with every passing second. Then came the moment that ended everything. Daniel reached across the table, resting his hand gently over mine, and said softly, "I miss you more than I realized." It was tender, heartfelt, but it was also the spark that lit Ryan's rage. His chair scraped violently against the floor as he stood up, the sound cutting through the chatter like a blade. The restaurant fell silent. Ryan's face was flushed, his voice shaking with anger. "He doesn't deserve you," he spat. Then, before anyone could react, his hand struck Daniel's face with a sharp crack. The sound echoed through the room. Daniel stumbled back, stunned. Gasps filled the air. I froze, my heart hammering in my chest. Ryan's voice rose, trembling but fierce. "How long are you going to keep pretending?" he shouted at me. "Tell him the truth. Tell him what you told me." My stomach dropped. Every person in that restaurant turned to stare. I could feel my secrets unraveling in front of them all. Daniel turned to me slowly, his expression unreadable, his tone calm. Too calm. "What truth?" he asked. I opened my mouth but couldn't speak. My throat felt like it had closed. Ryan stepped forward, his eyes glassy with emotion. "Tell him you've been with me. Tell him how unhappy you said you were." A wave of whispers rippled through the crowd. My hand shook uncontrollably as tears welled in my eyes. Daniel just stared, waiting for an answer, but I had none. My silence was the answer he needed. He inhaled deeply, his jaw tightening. "Is it true?" he whispered. The quiet fury in his voice was worse than any scream could have been. When I didn't respond, I saw something harden inside him. He turned to Ryan and said in a cold, steady tone, "You just made the worst mistake of your life." Without another word, he pulled out his phone and made a brief call. Within minutes, 2 security guards arrived and grabbed Ryan by the arms. He resisted, shouting my name, struggling as they dragged him away. Daniel didn't flinch, didn't shout. He simply straightened his jacket, looked around, and said firmly, "Dinner's over." Then he walked out. I ran after him, begging him to stop, to listen, but he never turned around. That night, he didn't come home. The next morning, I found a note on the dining table. His handwriting was steady, deliberate. "You've made your choice. I hope he was worth it." I read it over and over until the ink blurred through my tears. When I tried calling, my number was already blocked. Desperate, I reached out to Ryan, but he didn't answer either. Hours later, I got the call. Ryan had been arrested. Daniel had pressed charges: assault, defamation, and harassment. The restaurant security footage was already submitted as evidence. The man who said he loved me had destroyed himself in one reckless outburst, and the man I betrayed had erased me from his life completely. Days later, I learned Daniel had filed for divorce. He moved out quietly, efficiently, like someone removing a poison limb before it spread. He didn't look back. The story spread fast. Everyone knew. Friends avoided eye contact. Whispers followed me everywhere. I couldn't escape the humiliation. In one night, I lost them both. All it took was a slap, a jealous rage, and a truth I could no longer hide. I thought I could live two lives, one safe, one thrilling, but that illusion shattered like glass. Love turned cold. Passion turned into punishment. And in the end, I stood alone, surrounded by silence, realizing too late that one moment of truth can destroy everything built on lies.